back now with the panel. George, look, in order to be the man, you got to beat the man. Are we starting to see a prize fight in the GOP nomination where candidates are now willing to, maybe as they think they have to, directly confront Trump?
Certainly, and the prize fight analogy is apt because the pugilist among them all is apt to be Christie when he storms into the ring, because he likes to brawl. He has a New Jersey frame of mind, I should say, and the ruthless post-Watergate spirit of full disclosure that Mrs. Will works for the Scott campaign.
Yeah, no, and look, Tim Scott has been one to be more hesitant to hit Donald Trump. He also was the same one who Donald Trump praised and welcomed to the race. Makes you wonder about the potential of a vice presidential ticket in a race that's coming up for VP as well if Trump's the nominee. This is Christie talking about how he is going to take on Donald Trump. Take a listen.
Donald Trump is a TV star. Nothing more, nothing less. A TV star. And let me suggest to you that if we put him back in the White House, the reruns will be worse than the original show was.
Chris Matthews back with us as well. Chris, I think about how many times we in the media since, May of 2015, all of a sudden we're talking over and over and over again about this is going to be the guy who can take down Donald Trump, and it never happened. Is there any reason to think Christie can do it this time around?
No, the way it's running right now is that Trump is the front runner, depending on how many convictions he gets between now and the primaries. If you can schedule the AD, the district attorney in New York City has scheduled his for March of next year. Well, when are these others going to troop into play? When are they going to go to trial? Are the trials going to be held next summer, next fall? I mean, this is getting to be very entangled right now in terms of politics and the legal profession. And so I don't know.
Yeah,
but I do think,
next block we're talking about that in the grand jury, at least from the special prosecutor here in Washington, looking into it, Jack Smith's grand jury. That in the next block. May, does Chris have a point? Is there any fear? Yeah,
I just want to say that I think Tim Scott's a very credible candidate. I think no matter what happens between now and next summer in Milwaukee, he will give the best speech in either convention. There's no doubt. He's real. He's legitimate. He's a conservative, and he comes from the heart. I really think he will give the real cry of the heart of the conservative movement. And I think the question is whether he gets vice president or he gets president right now, the way it goes. Because if it's Trump, he'll pick him. And I think as long as he plays his cards the way he's playing them, it's wide open for this fella. And I think that Chris Christie's an enemy of Trump. He can't win unless Trump really loses. And Mike Pence told the truth on January 6th, and the president didn't, obviously. And so these are very different people. And I think that to answer your question, I always liked Chris Christie. I thought he was the kind of guy that would meet at the Knights of Columbus Hall back in the 60s or 50s even, a regular guy who people could identify with. I thought he was that kind of governor. I think Corzine made a big mistake when he showed him getting out of the car looking overweight. I think those kind of shots never work politically, thank God. Our system does still work in many ways. And so I think Christie is a great candidate. So we'll see.
He certainly was the one who attacked Marco Rubio and crushed Marco Rubio in the debates last time. He's a good debater. May, I thought there was an interesting point made here about how many indictments can Donald Trump survive. So far, not only has he survived, but he continues to grow in poll numbers the more he is attacked. Is there any plan B for Republicans that are sitting there thinking, look, if he's got 2 indictments, 3 indictments, is there any reason to think that the number of indictments matters other than to make Donald Trump's poll numbers go up?
They'll only go up. I mean, I think it was actually purely beneficial to have Alvin Bragg's go first because that one was the most ridiculous. And so it colors the rest of this thing as a witch hunt. I mean, he doesn't even have to say witch hunt anymore. It's just understood. And when they land a punch, you gather the troops, and every single other Republican candidate then has to go say how unfair that is.
Oh, and then they did. Ron DeSantis lined up. So, Scott, just purely from a political standpoint, how can Democrats look at this and think that more indictments is a good thing for hurting Donald Trump?
Because more indictments mean, and I do white-collar criminal defense work, more indictments mean that Donald Trump is less likely to stay in the race than more likely.
Why?
You can talk about numbers because it's very difficult to defend your liberty, to work with your lawyers, to face down 2 or 3 indictments, raise money, campaign. There'll be pressure from the RNC or GOP. There'll be pressure from his lawyers and his family to get out. At some point, the GOP is going to have to walk away from Donald Trump if he gets indicted. The federal indictment is very serious. I'm sorry, 30 counts of fraud, regardless of how ridiculous you think it is, those are simple cases to prove. I was in that office. And so there'll be pressure on him to get out. That's why all these candidates, in my opinion, are jumping in, because if he's not there, lightning can strike the bottle for any of those great candidates.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.